Back in 2020, Epic filed 2 lawsuits, one against Apple and the other against Google. Today, we're focusing on the Google case, including how it started, the arguments made by each side, and the outcomes so far. The same month that Epic filed their lawsuit against Google, they launched an initiative called Project Liberty. Basically, Epic intentionally violated Google's Play Store payment policy by letting users buy V-Bucks at a discount directly from Epic rather than through Google's in-app billing system. Google responded by banning Fortnite from the store. And just a few hours later, Epic was ready to go with their case filings to bring Google to court for anti-competitive practices. It took 2 years, but in December of 2023, the Epic v. Google case made it to court as a jury trial. Compared to the Epic v. Apple case that was decided as a judge trial, the Google lawsuit was actually a jury trial. And this became an important detail later on when the decision was handed down. And we'll get into that. But first, we should mention that Epic was supported by a bunch of other tech companies like Spotify and Match Group, and attorneys general from 36 US states. These other plaintiffs filed their own suits on similar grounds. And though everyone except Epic settled with Google before the trial started, it's an important note that Google was under fire for their anti-competitive practices beyond just one studio. So the trial begins, and Epic's argument is that Google is using some shady practices and dealings to prevent competition and keep themselves in a position of power. Epic even unearths critical evidence supporting this claim, like Project Hug. Google ran a sweetheart deal with over 20 app developers like King, Riot, and EA so they wouldn't open their own app stores or use a competitor's, basically paying them to stick with the Play Store. Evidence like this was enough to sway the jury that Google was guilty. And this is where the jury trial detail is key. Unlike a judge trial where the judge is looking only at what the law says, a jury is more open to interpretation and deciding based on their own ideas of what's fair. And what they decided was that Google's behavior was unfair. On December 11th, 2023, the jury found Google guilty on all 11 counts. For Epic, it was a big win. As for Google, they submitted a request to Judge Donato, who ruled on the case, asking him to dismiss it or grant a new trial. The judge wasn't having it, though, and denied the request. Since then, we're waiting to see what Judge Donato does to enforce the ruling. Epic suggested a few of their own ideas for how Google should change their policy, sending a letter to the judge in April of 2024. Which Google then replied to in a 90-page document of their own, all about how those proposals would do more harm than good. With the final verdict coming soon, Judge Donato mentioned that he'll, quote, tear the barriers down. He's used other strong language with Google, which all indicates the judge will request some serious changes as to how Google runs its operations. We're expecting that to look a lot like what's happening overseas with legislation like the Digital Markets Act in the EU. That means allowing developers more freedom to offer alternative payments outside of Google's own framework. For many developers, like Epic, that means opening a web shop, basically letting users make in-app purchases outside the app environment and on the web. That way, developers don't have to pay Google's 30% IAP fee, and users get bigger discounts.